Hey everyone, welcome to a new video, welcome to my channel. My name is Mike and today's video is going to be a full face of Charlotte Tilbury makeup. I was brainstorming some brands that I could do a full face of makeup with towards the end of 2020 and I was like, hey, I have so many Charlotte Tilbury products. I literally need like 2 more and I can do a full face of Charlotte Tilbury, which very much surprised me because Charlotte Tilbury is not a brand where, you know, I go in and like buy a bunch of things. Like this is definitely a collection, you could say, that has grown steadily over the years. I definitely didn't get this all in one go, but I just was surprised that if I bought a concealer and a powder, I pretty much had a full face of Charlotte Tilbury makeup. There are a few products as per usual that I don't have from the brand. I don't have brows, I don't have a mascara, and I don't have a setting spray, even though they now do one, I think. But yeah, those are the things I don't currently have as part of my makeup collection, but I can pretty much do everything else here. So let's just get to these products and put them on and talk about everything Charlotte Tilbury. Alright, so I just gave the first product a bit of a shake, and this is the Hollywood Flawless Filter for a Superstar Youth Glow. That's literally the name on this bottle. It does seem that like the writing is already rubbing off, which is a bit of a shame. However, this is a sort of like glowy product that you can either use by itself as just like a bit of glowy, very lightweight coverage. You can also use it to sort of like highlight the face if you'd like, so you can use it on the high points of your face. However, you can also use it sort of like as a priming situation underneath makeup. And that's how I like to use this the most. So that's how we're going to use this one. And this product I have in the shade 2 Light Clair. I thought the 1 was a little bit too light for me. I had a little set of testers when I was interested in this product. That's one thing that I really appreciate about Charlotte Tilbury as a brand. They always have testers for everything. So I was able to try every single one, and then shade 2 was a little bit better, especially for what I want to do with it, which is layering it under a foundation. So let me put this one on for you. So as per usual, I'm just going to use my fingers to blend this in. And this is just a really nice glowy primer. It doesn't really, like, not even a primer, but just like a base product really. So yeah, I've got lots of sun coming in today, so that's a bit of a shame. Well, not really actually, but it's like, it's cloudy, but then the sun sort of like peeks through it all the time. So I've been trying to film this video 3 times today. But yeah, this is what the Hollywood Flawless Filter is looking like when I put it on my face. This little bit of hair always annoys me. But yeah, this is just a really nice little bit of glow, not too much coverage or anything, but it does even out my skin a little bit. It doesn't really do enough for me though, for really like covering up redness and doing all that. It's not strong enough of a coverage for that. And I don't think that for me, for my personal makeup tastes, this is glowy enough to use as a highlighter. So that's why I like layering this as a base product underneath my foundation. And foundation wise, this is one that I haven't used much yet because it's quite a new product to me, but I've used it once or twice so far. It's the Light Wonder Youth Boosting Perfect Skin Foundation with an SPF of 20 in, again, the shade 2 Fair. Again, I did buy this when we still had open stores, so I was able to swatch it, try it, see which one would be best for me, and this ended up being my pick. One shade up was a little bit too yellow, and one shade down was just too light. However, this is the lightweight coverage foundation that Charlotte Tilbury does. Everything else in her line is quite like medium to full coverage, and it's quite matte. So I know that the Magic foundation that she does is very popular. But the reason why I didn't buy it is because I like something that's more lightweight, that's a bit more dewy, because I feel it looks more natural on the skin. And that's why I ended up using or going for this one. So I went with this one just because of the fact that it just offers me what I am looking for in a foundation, you could say. So that's why I went with a product that's perhaps less popular, but that does suit my makeup needs. Like, I don't want to make these full face videos just about popular products from the line. I do want to talk about products that I find interesting from a line, and not just because everyone and their mother is raving about it, because I feel that way about some Charlotte Tilbury products. Like, some people swear by that magic foundation that I already mentioned. I hear a lot of people talking about like her contour wand. And while I'm not against trying those things by any means, I'm really not a fan of those kind of products, and I want to use them. Like, I have to pay, like, I pay for these things myself, and that means that, you know, it's just quite an expensive brand, and to then be stuck with product that you use once for a video and you have no interest in using again. For me, with something like Essence and Catrice, I can make do. I'm like, okay, that's fairly affordable. I don't really mind that. But with this expensive of a brand, I don't think it's a good idea. So that's why I decided to buy something that I'm interested in, even though that's not a super popular product in the line. But this is what that Light Wonder foundation looks like on. As you can see, it nicely evens out my skin tone. It's nice and dewy. And when I bought this, I went with a shade that wasn't too light. Because it is a sheer coverage, I always feel that I can get away with a slightly darker shade, and it doesn't make me look as ghostly pale. Which is what I tend to do in most foundations, is that I get a shade that is light enough to match me here. And even though, like, I can see that this is a little bit darker than over here, but it's not too noticeable. And I'm pretty sure that once I've also applied stuff like bronzer and things, that we should be fine. Time for concealer. And for concealer, like with some of what I just mentioned, not all the products in Charlotte Tilbury's line appeal to me. And I believe this product that I have for you is quite a recent release. And it's her corrector, which I bought in shade 1 Fair. And the reason why I say I have the same issue with her concealers is that a lot of her concealers come in these like clicky pens with like a sponge tip applicator. And while I think that's a great way to apply concealer, and it can make it look very natural and all that, I just find it so gross. After a while, that sponge just starts looking a little worse for wear, and then I just don't enjoy using the product all that much. I know, I'm weird, but that packaging, like, I love the Maybelline Age Rewind Eraser. I really like that concealer. I love the consistency, but the packaging just gets so grubby that I just find it a bit irksome. So I was again like, with this brand, it's quite expensive, and if I just get annoyed by how messy the packaging gets, I'm not about that life. So that's why I bought this. This comes in a little pot. It's not officially a concealer. It's got more of a peachy undertone to it. But it still looks light enough. But I will just today be using this on my under eyes. And I think, yeah, this is a nice enough sort of shade for me to just use under my under eyes. Again, I'm not going for a super full coverage look today. And I think that suits the brand quite well. Because I feel that Charlotte Tilbury is really a brand that tries to teach people how to do like effortless glam. So you're wearing makeup, but it doesn't have to be makeup, but you can still make it look makeup-y if you'd want to. You know what I mean? That's sort of what I feel the aesthetic is all about. Yeah, that's what the corrector looks like on. I think this is actually the first time I've put this on my face. It feels very smooth, very creamy. The shade of it is perfect. Where most correctors are quite peachy, and I feel therefore that I need to layer a concealer under, like over it to make it more skin-like, I feel that this is perfect because it does color correct some of the darkness that I have in my inner corners, but it doesn't really look very orange under my eyes all of a sudden. This feels, it also seems to have a bit like a dry down, almost like it becomes like a little powdery. So I think this will also be a product that stays put really well, which I've got some fine lines going on below here. So I always need to be careful with that. Now, I mentioned in my sort of like plans for 2021 video that I wasn't going to buy certain products anymore for full face makeup tutorials, because I just find that I now, after a year of doing full face makeup looks, that I have so many powders especially, that I'm like, I've used them once, I don't think I'll ever use them again because I have a couple of favorites. However, Charlotte Tilbury is the brand that I'm making an exception for. This is the Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder, Complexion Perfecting Micro Powder in the shade Fair, again, shade 1. And this is a powder that I've been wanting to try for years. So unless I really am interested in a product, I might still get it. But this is one of, like, I've heard so many people raving about this. I believe Jessica Braun really likes this powder, for instance. And I think that this can be a really nice one. I tend to prefer high-end powders over drugstore ones, not because I'm a snob, but because I have dry skin. And a lot of powder is just way too matte for me, whereas this one seems to just be more like a finishing powder. So it's not really like a setting powder to really make your makeup last, but just as like a wash to just set everything down and make sure that, you know, it doesn't budge throughout the day, but nothing too crazy. So let me see how we go with this one. Okay, so the powder is looking good. It's not too matte or anything like that. It doesn't really seem to accentuate anything yet. However, of course, with a powder, I'm gonna have to come back to you in a few minutes to let you know whether it still looks this nice after like the initial set down, you could say. I'm quickly going to do my brows off camera because I'm just using my regular brow combo, and then we're going to finish off the rest of the face. So to finish off the rest of the face, we are going to go in with blush, bronzer, and highlight. And Charlotte Tilbury is a brand where with blush, bronzer, and highlight, very often it's either creams or like little palettes that she does, but to really have like a single bronzer, a single highlight, and a single blush, that's something the brand only seems to be doing like quite recently. So I definitely did get one product that I'm about to show you, especially for this video, which I haven't used yet. But we are going to start off with the really humongous. This is the Airbrush Bronzer, which I bought in the shade Fair, again, shade 1. And this is the kind of bronzer that just looks like absolutely nothing when you swatch it. Let me do that for you. This is a bronzer that is so light, but weirdly enough, like you can see it a little bit here, but this is the kind of bronzer that is perfect for someone with my fair skin. The next shade up, which is light, which is number 2, was too orange for me. So that's why I'd rather go with something with a bit of a bright undertone and then build it up more. That usually works better for me. So for all my fair skin people out there, if you're looking for a good bronzer that isn't orange, that isn't muddy, that isn't dark, I present to you the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Bronzer. This is one of those bronzers that just cannot do that can do no wrong. I do think that in the summertime, this will probably not do enough for me, but I love how this just warms up my face and it looks super natural. I love it. I'm not sure yet whether I really find it worth the €50 price point. I'm not sure I love it that much. This is definitely one of the most expensive powder bronzers in my collection. But yeah, I do really like it so far, but I definitely need to give this more of a test because I only got it over the fall time and I've had other things in my shop, my stash. And then for January and December, I was like going back to old favorites because I thought that would be a great way to end the year and start a new one. So I haven't really been trying some of the newer stuff that I bought towards the end of 2020 in like a daily makeup routine. And I don't really like reviewing products unless I've like tried them for like 2 weeks. So yeah, that being said, let's move on to something super duper new. And something super duper new is the limited edition. So I just love, like, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to own this. Like, the bronzer is in the gold and then the highlighter is in the silver. Like, I just love this packaging. It is humongous. You don't get a whole lot of product though. Oh no, the highlighter is 11.5 grams. I lied. And this bronzer is 16 grams. Considering the price point of these powders, that's actually really good. Like most bronzers, like I have a Becca bronzer, which is like €38, and that only comes with 7 grams of product. So then this is actually a better deal. Okay. Interesting, Charlotte. So I'm going to be showing this highlighter to you. And again, as I was, the day I went into store to purchase this, because I was like, oh, now I can also try a Charlotte Tilbury foundation at some point. And I saw this in their like little Christmas display and I was like, that's really good. That looks really, really pretty. So let me open this up for you. I don't want to break anything. Trying to be very careful here. And this is what that highlighter looks like. It looks a little dark, I'm not gonna lie. But this is actually quite similar to to a highlighter I tried from Catrice, where the powder in the pan looks quite dark, but do you see where I've already swatched it? That it looks a lot lighter. So I'm very curious to see what this will look like on once I put it on the skin. This could be one that is like that it has a dark cast, but as you can see here in the swatch, do you see how it's just a really pretty glow with a little bit of like a pinky peach undertone, but not too pink, not too peach. It's neither really warm nor cool. It's not too icy. It's got a little bit of depth to it. And I think that if you can do a highlighter like that, I think that this is the only like single powder highlighter that she does at the moment. Could very well be that this product is around for a while and that she then starts doing other shades. I do think she has done that in the past where something is first released as a limited edition collection and then later on it becomes permanent. But yeah, does this have a shade name? This is the Hollywood Superstar Glow Highlighter. So I'm just going to use my favorite highlight brush to apply this powder. And it's the Sigma F03. That's my favorite highlight brush. So let me see what this looks like on. Ooh. Oh, it looks a lot more golden on the skin than I had expected. Like in real life, it looks like a warm gold, but then in the viewfinder, it looks more like champagne-y, I find. Ooh, I think this is really pretty. It is an intense highlight though. Like, yes, it's soft focus, but I do think it is quite intense and it is perhaps a little bit dark for me. This is perhaps more of like a summertime thing for me. I've got a little bit more color to my skin. However, especially in the viewfinder, I definitely don't think it looks offensive in the sense that this is something that I can't wear on the daily. Like I could definitely wear this to work. It's more like a candlelight glow kind of situation, which I do really like, but this is one of the reasons why I always like to put a blush over my highlight, because I always feel it then looks a little bit more seamless and a bit more blended. Like then you don't get any harsh lines between the products on your cheeks. So bronzer, highlight, and then I use my blush to blend it all together. And this is the blush that I have. I have one, it's Pillow Talk, and I bought this because this was the only shade from the blush line that really appealed to me. So far, none of the other shades really appeal to me, but I love how this is like a mauvey, nudie kind of shade. It's like barely there kind of thing. I kind of just do this really, and then I throw that on. And you know, the thing with Charlotte, and that's what I was saying at the beginning, it's like easy glam makeup, but it's still makeup. Like Charlotte Tilbury does make products that will show up on you, and that, you know, can look like, you know, you will look like you're wearing makeup. It's not like a no makeup aesthetic like a Glossier, but it's like effortless glam. And we'll definitely get to that in a minute when we discuss eye products. So I'm really quickly going to prime my lids with my MAC paint pot, and then I'll be right back to talk about eyeshadow. All right, so my lids are primed, and I have two of the Charlotte Tilbury quads. Now, Charlotte Tilbury has been renaming some of her older products, so I don't always know the new names, but you can very easily find them online. So even if you just Google the old name, then a new name will pop up. But I don't only have these two palettes anymore. These are the only Charlotte Tilbury eyeshadows that I used to own for a long time. But since my latest Charlotte Tilbury order, I now also own this. So I didn't buy this, I didn't pick this. It was just a gift with purchase. And this is the Easy Eye palette for the Charlotte Darling look. And it's got a little insert here in the back because it's got 6 shades. right there. And it's got this little inlay that says 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then it says that this is the day eye and this is the date eye. These 3 final shades. And this is like a warm rosy pink kind of shade. In the viewfinder it looks a bit more orange, but in real life these look like warm toned mauves. So I was like, I'm not offended if I can get that for free, because this is sort of what I think these 2 palettes do, but then a little bit more wearable for me, because you get 3 mattes and 3 shimmers in here. You don't have one of those special like popping shades that she puts in these quads. But this I thought was a pretty nice palette. So I'm still a little on the fence what I want to use today, because this I'm definitely inclined to doing a look with. And I think I did already swatch it and I was very impressed with that. Haven't used it on my eyes yet, but these are the first 4 shades. I will just swatch them real quickly. And these feel so smooth, so buttery. Like this is very different quality, I feel, than from the quads that I have. So those are those 6 shades. And do you just see it's warm toned, but with a bit of a pinky undertone. So that's why I was very intrigued with this. And these feel buttery smooth. So I think these may be very nice on the eye. Not entirely sure. I was definitely not in the market for more Charlotte Tilbury makeup, or eyeshadow I should say. But I think I'm just going to stick to showing you these. And I'll do a look with my favorite one. The look I always do every year for Christmas. And the one that I won't be using, let's start there, is the Dolce Vita, which I believe is now called something like the Bella Kiss, Bella Donna, whatever. And this is like warm tones. And this is definitely one of the first products I bought from the brand. Because at the time, I was a little bit more into these kind of shades, even though right now I'm not. And these do feel a little bit more, like a little drier to the touch. Like they still have really nice pigmentation, I'm not gonna lie. And this is one of my, like I use these quads especially in like the holiday season. Like this is my Christmas look, you could say, and the one that I have been wearing the most in recent years is Vintage Vamp. I believe this is still called Vintage Vamp, and that's because it's got these plums. It's a little lighter, and it's not as warm-toned, I feel. But I do think that most of what Charlotte Tilbury does in her line is quite warm in its undertone, I do have to say. So if you're cool-toned, it may be a bit more challenging to find something that works well for you. So, and that's the Vintage Vamp right here going down. So I definitely want to do a look with this little palette today, because I think this really nicely demonstrates one of the things that I really appreciate about Charlotte Tilbury as a brand, and that's how foolproof all of the products are. So the Vintage Vamp only has 1 matte. This is a satin, and then you get like a satiny shimmer, and then all of these quads have a little bit of like a popping moment. So what the brand sort of suggests is putting this in the crease and this all over the lid for like a daytime look. Then you can put this in the outer V for a bit more of a glam look. And then if you're going to a party, you can put this golden shimmer as an accent in the center of the lid. So it's sort of like very sort of foolproof, and that's sort of the way all of these products work, is they all have like a system behind them, how you can best use it. So I would definitely, if you're looking into Charlotte Tilbury and you're not getting the use out of their product what you would expect, definitely look up some tutorials that she's done, because she does have like a vision of how to use all of these products for sure. Okay, so since some of you were requesting whether I could talk you through an eye look, since this is only 4 shades, I feel comfortable doing that. Very often my eye looks are not that complicated, but I'm just going to film this one real time, and I'm not going to fast forward you through that, because some people were wondering. People have also been asking me to leave sort of like the brushes I use, but again, I always use the same brushes, so that's why I don't mention them all the time. But for this, again, I will list the brushes that I use so that you have an idea of what it is that I'm using. I will, however, in the springtime when I do a declutter, I will show you exactly what I use every day. And because there's literally like 10 to 15 brushes I use, and everything else I never really reach for. So also my brush collection is due a declutter, people. So yeah, I'm going to take this Vintage Vamp, like this matte shade, and I'm just going to fluff that into the crease. And this was a shade that swatched terribly just now, but you will see that if you just put it on with a brush, you just get a really nice, decent wash of color, and that's all I need in a crease. Like this is not going to be like Instagram, wow, pigment kind of stuff. This is definitely also, if you have mature lids, then a shade like this is just going to work really well. And I think that Charlotte Tilbury as a brand is really good at catering to people who perhaps don't have the smoothest lids anymore, whether that's age or just because you have some texture. I mean, some brands, you know, that have boom pigment that a lot of people on YouTube are raving about. I mean, I can see why people like those kind of things, but I like something like this a lot more, where it starts very sheer and I need to build it up and perhaps dip into the shadow 2 or 3 times to get the intensity that I want. But I've done little to no blending, and I feel that I don't really have to blend this shade all that much anymore. Maybe just a little bit right here, but I don't really need to blend. I do apologize if you hear banging. My neighbors are at it again. But I need to keep this eye look going because I have some place to be. Okay, so again, as you can see here, the shadow pretty much blends itself. Like, you can just, and this is what I love with Charlotte Tilbury eyeshadow, is that you can really sort of like drag it up to blend it out, which I just love when eyeshadow does that. And then, you know, you can just see, like, some of you were asking, like, we want to see all the steps, but if you've got certain products that work really well with certain brushes, you don't really have to make that much effort to create a look. Like, this is just kind of coming along very seamlessly with little to no effort. This is like the most foolproof, and this is what I like about these little quads from Charlotte Tilbury. This is just a foolproof makeup look every time. So I think we've got it to look even. And then what I always like to do, this is the trick, people. If your eyeshadow doesn't look as blended as you like, take an even smaller, fluffier brush. I do apologize for some of the older shadow that's still on here. This is the 2244 Looks Defined Crease by Zoeva. And I'm going to take the same shade, but because this is such a very light, fluffy brush, and if you just use circular motions, you can use this brush to buff it out. And this is what I do with every makeup look I do this. And that instantly blends my shadow. I tend to use either a lighter blending shade or the same shade in my crease on this brush, and it always works. And I just kind of use a little bit, either a sweep or a bit of a like circular motion, and I especially always need to make sure I do a good enough job around here. It's sometimes a place where shadow just kind of grabs on. So there we go. That's it. That's all I do. Really, nothing else. And now, let me see. Okay, so this is a brush I hadn't used for a few days. So if it looks blue, that's because I used this with the Glamlight Cake palette for the last time. And this is the Zoeva Petite Crease 231 brush. It's just a pencil brush, but this is my favorite brush for doing anything in the outer V. So I'm now going to glam it up and apply this darker shade like so. And what I love about this brush in particular is that when I use this, you will see it in a minute, but again, because it's a bit bigger and it's fluffier, it kind of blends the shadow as I apply it. And you know, I'm the kind of person who does makeup at 6 a.m. in the morning before I head to work. So I need to be able to have something that I can just slap on and just don't faff around with too much. So I don't like to apply a shadow and then blend it. I want to blend my shadow as I apply it. That's my trick. That's how I save time in the mornings. So here we go. So I kind of just draw it down like this. Just sort of that we get that angle. And then I turn the brush around to where the color is. And then I sort of just push it up. And again, if I put a shade in the outer V, this is what I do. I don't do anything else. And I kind of use the brush to blend it more onto the lid. And then with this, I feel I don't necessarily have to do the next thing that I always do, but just for completion's sake, I'm going to use the same shade I used in my crease, and I'm just gonna go over where I've applied that darker shade a little bit, dragging up the crease a little bit further as I go along. And then sometimes what I will do, but I don't feel I need it right now, is I'll take that other brush again and blend it up even more. And then that's the way it is. So now we're gonna do the other side. And we're just gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna take this pencil brush. You can use any pencil brush for this that you already have lying about, people. You don't need to get this one. But Zoeva do some really good brushes, so definitely look into them if you're looking for affordable brushes that don't break the bank. And here I just kind of follow my bone structure really. I kind of push up against it, and that's how we do that. Just a little bit more to really make sure we get the depth that we want. And then again, just blending it like this all the way over the eye. And then I'm going to go back in with the crease shade. So there's really nothing that's harsh. And that's it. This is like the most technical I get when it comes to doing a makeup look. Because all I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take my flat shader brush. The name has rubbed off, but I know this is an E55 from Sigma. I just do. So an E55 from Sigma, this is my favorite eyeshadow brush. I remember when I bought this, this was like my first more expensive eyeshadow brush. I'd always use like very cheap ones that looked just like it. And I was like, oh, now I know what's the fuss. By now, Sigma isn't as affordable as it used to be, sadly. Like Sigma used to be a very affordable eye brush brand, or like makeup brush brand, but they've gotten a little bit more expensive over the years. And I'm going to take that light pinky shade. It's like a pinky champagne, and I'm just going to put that all over the lid. I'm sort of placing it where I didn't really put a lot of that darkness. So again, I try to keep that line, like that edge, I'd like to try and keeping that as clean as possible, but still covering it up a little bit so that I get a blend. And then I kind of want to look, do I want to reapply anything? I think I do want to go in with my fluffy brush again and reapply some of that darker shade just to the lid, just to make sure we really make sure there's enough like juxtaposition between the two shades. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another pencil brush. Ooh, what's this called again? The E30 from Sigma. Again, the name has rubbed off. And I'm going to take that lightest shade and I'm going to also put it around the inner corner. Just really quickly. Like so. Just to have a little bit of brightness there. And then I'm actually just going to repeat what I did on the top lash line, but then on the lower lash line, using my favorite lower lash line brush, which is a very old Sephora smudger brush. Any brush that looks like this will do. I need something that's quite dense on the lower lash line, else the color won't transfer, because my lids are a bit like, they kind of like stick out almost, which is also why I need to do this. And this usually freaks people out because they're like, you're pulling. But I like to take 2 fingers to keep it steady, because if I just go in with this, and the only thing that will happen is that my lower lash line kind of folds inwards and I get no color on there. So I kind of need to keep it in place like so. And then I just smudge that deepest shade along the lower lash line. That's all. Again, I don't really do that much. That's really interesting, people, when it comes to eye looks. And then I just smudge it like so. And then I'm going to take the shadow off that brush, and then I'm going to use that matte from the crease, and then I'm going to put that towards the inner corner. I don't really like putting a lot of darkness around my entire lower lash line, because I feel it closes my eyes in too much. So that's why I do it like this. There we go. That's that. And then to finish it off, I'm going to take that popping shade. And this one I always feel like you really need to go to town with that. And then just apply that to the center of the lid for a bit of added sparkle. Do you just see? It's a very subtle difference, I find. But I do think there is a difference. Like, I like this a little bit better than this because the shimmer is just a little bit stronger. Like, this kind of shimmer I like, but it's not enough for me. Like, I like a good popping shimmer. So again, here we go. And then we make it pop. And like for Charlotte Tilbury's brand, this kind of look is like her most glam option with this palette, which is not that strong yet. So also, if you're someone who's not used to wearing a lot of makeup, or maybe you just can't wear a lot of makeup if you go to work, then you can see that these kind of shades can still look very natural, but still a little bit more sultry than something very quick and easy. I'm going to be applying setting spray and mascara, and then I'll zoom us out, and then we're gonna talk lips. So I've zoomed you out, and this is sort of like the look so far. I think it's still, like, it's glam, but it's, for me, this is everyday glam. Like, I would go to work like this and nobody would bat an eyelid. Like, if I were to wear that super bright pink look that I wore with the Glam Like Cake palette that you saw me wear for like my perfume collection and stuff, then I would definitely get some remarks, not from everyone, but from some people for sure. But by now, like, most people very quickly discern that I will just always wear different things. So that's the way it goes. So yeah, let's talk Charlotte Tilbury lips. And I'm not going to be using what you think I will be using, because I won't be using one of her lipsticks. And the reason why I'm not is because I have a different lip option to show you. However, if you want to see swatches and all of these colors applied to my face, then I would like to refer you to the eye above, and I will also make sure to link it in the description box. But in December, I did a full lipstick collection video with all of my Charlotte Tilbury lipsticks, doing swatches on my lips, the whole 9 yards. So if you're curious to see what these 8 shades look like and which ones I have, I would like to refer you to that video. I have one of the K.I.S.S.I.N.G lipsticks, but all the other ones I have are from her Matte Revolution line. The Matte Revolution line is one of the best matte lipstick lines on the market today, till this day, because I've had some of these for some time, and they are still amazing. I really, really like them. My favorite nude is Very Victoria. My favorite red is Red Carpet Red. Those would be my 2 favorite shades from the Charlotte Tilbury line for sure. But there's also a couple of more unique things in there. So definitely check out that video if you'd like to see more. And now I hear you thinking, Micah, what will you actually be using? I'm going to do something I've never done before. And that's because I fairly recently fell in love with lip gloss. And I was like, hey, Charlotte Tilbury also does lip gloss. So these are, ooh, it's in the shade Pillow Talk. I believe it doesn't have the name on here anymore, but I believe it's called her Jewel Lips lip gloss line. So it's lip gloss with a bit of a sparkle. It's not as sparkly as I'd hoped. I'm not gonna lie. It does have golden sparkle, but I really only see it if I hold it up against the light. So I had hoped there would have been a little bit more sparkle. And what I'm going to do with that lip gloss is I'm not going to just put it on like this, but I'm going to layer it over one of these lip pencils. Now, if you've never heard me talk lip pencils, because I don't use lip pencils. I just don't. I'm just capable of doing a lip look without a pencil or a brush. I don't know why. I'm somehow anatomically blessed with lips that just fit a lipstick bullet. Yeah? I don't know how that works. I can get a very precise line, especially with something like the Matte Revolution lipsticks from Charlotte Tilbury. That little square, like, oh, I can always make that work, and I can be precise enough, even when it wears down, to really get a nice sharp line also with a red. Which is why I only have 2 of these. And these are the 2 out of the 3 lip liners I own. That's right, I only own 3 lip liners, and 2 of them are by Charlotte Tilbury. These are the best lip liners I have ever found. They are non-drying, they are very creamy on the lips, and the colors always match her lipstick, so you can always buy a little combo if you'd like. I haven't tried a single brand of lip liner. Now, I haven't tried that many, I have to be very honest, that beats these. I've tried Milani, Essence, Catrice. I think I tried one by ColourPop, Milani, MAC. These just take the cake. So what I thought we could do, by the way, which shades do I have? I have Pink Venus, and Pink Venus is the one that is recommended to go with Sexy Sienna, I believe. It's like a nudie pink. And then we have the infamous Pillow Talk, and that's the one I've used the most. As you can see, I've never even sharpened these. That's how often I use lip pencils. But yeah, this is a little bit more brown toned, a little bit more nude. So I'm going to use this all over the lips, and then I'm going to top it off with the gloss. That's what I thought we could try in today's video. Like 2021, we need to expand our makeup preferences. And at the end of 2020, I was like, I like lip gloss. And I was like, oh, I can try one of those. So that was another new purchase for today's video. So let's just go. So Pillow Talk is really just like my lips, but better kind of shade, really, also in the lipstick. I could layer that on top too, but I don't really feel like it. I think this is enough coverage. This is why I don't like lip liners. They are too drying on my very dry lips. These are the only non-drying lip liners I have ever found, and these still feel dry. Like, they still have a little bit of like smoothness to them, but I like my lips to have that slip. And if it's like a really like true liquid lipstick because I want it to wear all day, then I don't mind it being drying. But with a lip liner, it's too much faff. It's too precise. Especially my bottom lip is just too big. Like my top lip is okay. That's pretty small. But this like big, huge bottom lip, like to sit there every day and fill it in with a pencil, is just, I can't be bothered. So let's top this off with this gloss. This is also in the shade Pillow Talk. I'm not sure if I mentioned that, but this is what it looks like. Let me just put it on and see if it looks pretty. Smells nice. It does smell sweet, like candy, cookie dough, that sort of thing. But I do think this is very pretty. It's got a little bit of shine. Feels very comfortable, not too sticky. Like it's not like you try to open your lips and your lips are like stuck together. Not that kind of like sticky. Feels very creamy, very rich, and I was afraid that because this has some sparkle in it that you could feel the sparkle, but you don't. And I don't see any noticeable sparkle on my lips either. It just makes my lips look plumper, like healthier. So yeah, there you have it. Those were all of the products that I have from Charlotte Tilbury that I wanted to chat to you about today. This again will be a bit of a longer video. I don't know what happened, but 2021, every single video I've posted so far is like over 30 minutes. So I do apologize if that bothers you. But yeah, I have lots of goodies here to also play with, to try more of. This lip gloss is nice. And the powder, by the way, you guys, it doesn't emphasize pores. In fact, it looks really natural on the skin. So I'm super chuffed with the airbrush powder as well. I think it can work quite well on my dry skin. Again, some of the products that I've bought in like the past 4 to 5 months, I definitely need to still buy, like try more often. That's definitely something I still have on the checklist, like the to-do list for when it comes to making content. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed watching this full face of Charlotte Tilbury. Please give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more by me. I make 3 new videos a week, so I hope to see you in my next video. Stay tuned. Bye-bye.